This little video will cover an overview of the BAOFENG GM-15 Pro GRMS radio 8 watt. You can see here on the top, a little button here. You turn it to the right to turn it on. Comes on. You can see here, hopefully, that it's a two band. So you can see the arrow right there is pointing to the current band, which means if I hit the transmit button right here, it's going to transmit on the channel where that arrow is. If I want to switch the arrow, I hit this button here with that little arrow there, and it goes to the next one down. So that's how you switch between bands. It's just like an easy access, so you have two different channels to work with. You see that little D right there. That little D means dual scan. So when that D is turned on, when you can see that D there, that D means that the radio is continually scanning between these two bands. And if traffic is heard on one, it'll switch over to that one so you can hear it. That could be good or bad, but that could be disabled easy enough if it's not helpful. So the other thing I would point out is that, see if I can get you to see it. You can see an L or W up there. On the top, like right there, it says H, sorry, it says H or L. So H means high power and L means low power. So what you'll notice as you're going through channels is that some of them are low power and some of them are high power, and it just automatically switches. So channels 15 through 22 are high power, so they'll be going at the maximum wattage the radio can handle. So that's what you want for long range, and then low power you want for short range. You saw these buttons here, move the channels up and down. Okay, let's not turn, there we go. The channels are up and down. So RPT stands for repeater, because these can also use repeater channels, which basically just takes your signal and passes it along. So those are interesting, but for the most part, we won't be using repeaters. So that's pretty much it, really. Change the channels with these buttons here. The channels are, this radio is pre-programmed, and with channels that it has all the emergency channels we would use in our area. Let's see, it has, if you hold it down, it'll just cycle through all the channels. Okay, so I got the MERS radios in there. That's a different radio service that if someone uses MERS radios. Okay, so ERC, SLC, we got that one. We got the Bishop Storehouse, Sandy Bishop Storehouse 2 meter. And then we have South Jordan secondary and South Jordan primary. And then we have Salt Lake City EOC. That's the Salt Lake County emergency frequency. Should point out that on some of these frequencies you can only listen. So that SLC EOC you can only listen. The MERS ones you can transmit and listen. The SJO, those you can only listen. The reason being you can only listen is because they're ham radio frequencies. And the Sandy Storehouse, this one here is a Sandy Bishop Storehouse. You can only receive. So at any rate, you'll know if you can't do it because they won't be able to hear you. So that's pretty much, I mean, that's really it. I mean, you're just gonna like move these arrows up and down, and that's pretty much all you're gonna do to change the channel. But generally speaking, you won't change the channel. You'll probably just leave it on channel 22. So if 22 is busy, then you might move to 21 and then 20 down to 15. Because if you notice, the 15 to 22 have H on there, so that means that they're high power. So that means they have long range. So, okay, so there we go. We covered the up and down to move the channels. We covered this little arrow thing here to like move it around. Almost every button has a different command if you do a long press. So if I hold a long press down here, it switches over to NOAA, I think. So I don't really
Highs
know
in
how
the
useful
mid-50s.
NOAA is, but
Friday night, partly cloudy. Haze.
some people think
Lows
that's
in the
useful,
mid-30s.
so.
Saturday, partly cloudy. Haze. Highs in the mid-50s. Saturday night.
So you hold long press again, it gets you back. So let's what else does this thing do? Well, you can see here on the bottom here on the battery, that's where you plug in the charger right there, and that light will be red when it's not charged, and it'll be green when it's fully charged. You don't want to leave it charged in the charger all the time. Once it's green, you want to unplug it from the charger to save your battery from going bad fast. Notice these contacts here on the battery. You don't want to short these out. If you short it out, this radio will get very hot, could catch on fire. So make sure you don't short these out. So here on the side here, you got 3 buttons here. So this center one is the PTT, known as the push to talk. That's how you transmit. So if I hit this button right here, it's going to transmit. This top one here is the FM. It has a normal FM radio, 90.1.
Is really how memory begins. Somebody world savvy.
And then you hit it again. One comment on the radio: if you're on the FM radio, like right here,
right now I'm in the process of
if one of your channels here gets traffic, it'll automatically switch over. So if someone started to transmit right now on channel 22, it will automatically boom. It'll just turn this off and go to channel 22 so you can hear it. So the top button is the FM radio. If you hold it down for long press, it does this really stupid like thing, and I don't know who would ever do that for an emergency. Have that annoying button going on there with that weird noise, but nevertheless, that's what it does if you long press. And then this bottom one right here, if you press it once, if you long press. So that would come in handy if you wanted to check for a weak signal, because this is set to squelch level 3. Squelch basically filters out weaker signals. So you can go up to level 9. So like if you were getting weaker signals but you didn't want to hear them, you'd up the S level. But let's say you were getting a weak signal but you could still hear them, but it was getting cut off by the squelch, you would hold this down. And then it would let you hear everything that this radio can hear. That's pretty much it. One last thing. This bottom one here also is if you just do a 1 press, it's a flashlight. So 1 press is a flashlight. And then 2 presses, it blinks, I guess, if you want to give somebody a seizure. And that's pretty much it. So top button is FM radio, short press. Push to talk, center button. Bottom is flashlight. Long press is annoying beep. And that's it. So that's pretty much it. So we covered the battery, the antenna. Oh, one thing on the antenna, it does unscrew. And if you didn't want to have this really long, annoying antenna, you could get potentially I can get you a smaller one if you want one, let me know. The longer antenna adds about 30% range. So the benefit about having a longer antenna is you could talk to other DLs. The primary communication is between the DL and the area coordinator or the control operator. But there's other options too. You can get a tactical antenna that is telescopic, so it'll come down to this small, and then it's easier to carry. That's the one I use. I like that the most, but they're kind of expensive. The telescopic antennas actually cost more than the radio. These radios here, I don't know if you can see that, but these radios here are $50 for 2. So these radios are $25 a piece. And so in the antenna, the nice telescopic antenna is like $30. So the antenna costs more than the radio. But you can see how that long antenna might be a pain, but if you don't use it that much, I don't know, probably is okay. But like I said, if it bothers you, let me know, I'll get you one. That's pretty much it. When you transmit, that light goes red there on the top. Red is for transmit. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, if you have any questions, you want more information. Now, obviously, if you want to see the manual, if you want to know how everything this radio can do, you just go Google BAOFENG GM15 Pro manual, and you can get the manual. There's a lot of stuff in here we're not using, and so you know, if you're interested, one cool thing I'll show you here. If you hold this button down here, long press this pound sign, it'll scan the channels. So it'll just go through all of them, and when it finds traffic, it'll stop on that one, which is kind of cool. That could be handy. So you can just see it's just scanning right now. And it only scans on the one that you have highlighted here, the active one with the arrow. Hit the button, and it goes back to the channel that it was on before you started the scan. So there's lots of cool things like that in the radio that you can do, but generally speaking, you don't need to mess with any of those. The radio is not waterproof, so if you drop it in the water, it's probably going to die. So that's it. So that's a little overview of the BAOFENG GM15 Pro 8-watt radio. Thank you.